Hi, welcome back to Focal Point AF for Talk. Don't forget our Focal Point Facebook page. Focal Point's the place you can find it. Be sure and like it. And we try to keep you abreast of changing developments. My handle on Twitter, Brian J. Fisher. Love to have you follow me on Twitter. Well, let's go to the phones. A response from our listeners to my cage match, my cage fight interview with Scott Sloan up in Cincinnati. Let's begin with Michael in Elgin, Oklahoma. Michael, welcome. What do you think?
Hello?
Yeah, Michael, you're on. Go right ahead.
Sorry, sir. Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Always enjoy your show.
Thank you.
I just wanted to comment that I thought it was a very passionate discussion. I thought you made some good points. I was, at one point, though, sir, I have to be honest with you, I think the whole discussion kind of got derailed on the whole shoe thing. I could see where you were coming from. I mean, I didn't see the parade myself. And, naturally, when I hear about the imagery, I was like, well, that does seem a little inappropriate. Maybe if it was an evening parade, I don't know, but that's a whole other discussion. But unfortunately, I think that the discussion got a little derailed there. I saw your points. I really did. And the gentleman, he made an interesting argument with a whole historical reference. I mean, I guess there's a degree of truth to that. But I thought he was a little rude to you at the end. I mean, you guys are in the same business. I always considered it sort of an assumption that there's a certain degree of professional courtesy. But I guess that's changed over the decades. I don't know.
Well, he certainly rarely let me complete a thought or finish a sentence. I agree with you, Michael. I thought, for a guest that he's invited onto his program, I thought he was unprofessional and he was rude. I've had the same treatment from Alan Combs. And here it's interesting that people on the left, they always consider themselves to be the urbane, sophisticated, genteel people and all that, and they're the ones that are just rude and angry and offensive. Yeah, and I don't know what to say about the boots thing, Michael, other than that I wasn't the one that was focusing on the boots. He's the guy that couldn't stop talking about the boots. And, I mean, the name of the Broadway play is Kinky Boots. And that's what everybody in the cast was wearing. I mean, they weren't just wearing ordinary boots. They were wearing kinky boots. Well, what is kinky? Kinky's all twisted up. I mean, they're kind of announcing the fact that there's something twisted and deviant about what we're promoting here in this play and on this appearance. All right, Michael, listen, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Let's go to Telus in Louisiana. Telus, welcome. What's on your mind?
Hey, since the days of Noah, there have been perversions, and without saying anybody is a pervert, it's like I would have just, if I were you, had simply asked him if he knew Jesus, the Christ of Nazareth, the Son of the living God.
Well, it's interesting, Telus, according to what Jeff Reed, my producer, did, he listened to the next segment, and in the next segment, this man said he's a Christian.
Oh,
so he brought it up and addressed it and answered it and said, I'm a Christian.
So he believes in, well, I don't know what to say to that.
Yeah, I don't either. And he would think that would be a Christian. Apparently his understanding of Christianity is Christianity teaches that anybody can do whatever they want. Whatever floats their boat, whatever makes them feel good, that's just fine with Jesus Christ. But, of course, it's absolutely flatly not true. When the woman caught in adultery was brought to Jesus, what was the last thing that he said to her? He said, neither do I condemn you. So there is forgiveness in the gospel of Christ. And apparently that's where he stopped listening to Jesus, because the next thing that Jesus said to the woman caught in adultery is, go and sin no more. So Christianity clearly involves not just repentance, but also reformation, transformation of lifestyle. All right, Telus, thank you for the call. I appreciate that. Let's go to Paul in Dallas. Paul, welcome. What's on your mind?
Yes. First impression is you went through the very, very typical left-wing experience that when in any of these interviews, like with Alan Combs or this guy, it's just a knee-jerk tactic on their part to attack you personally and to constantly and incessantly project exaggerated positions and emotions on you repeatedly. I think it's a deliberate tactic to try to, get you mentally off your game. But, things like, your position is America is going to bleep in a handbasket because of this one event, and that essentially saying like when are you going to stop beating your wife? When are you going to stop hating these people, and so on and so forth? Just an endless barrage. And I think one of his weakest points is when he was trying to equate the presentation of that Broadway show Kinky Boots with Shakespearean actors and with Milton Berle. Milton Berle would dress up as a woman with everyone and his brother knowing he was a man to comedic and laughable effect. The presentation of that section of that number on the Broadway show for Kinky Boots is a deliberate, although comedic musical, to try and promote the fact that, hey, everybody should just be what they want to be, and this is normal. And I'm not an expert on the play, but I did catch it, and I did think it was definitely inappropriate for a family audience. And if you listen to the lyrics, it was something about, be all you could be or something. And clearly, through entertainment, they're trying to promote that lifestyle as it's just okay, whereas Milton Berle would be making a joke to make people laugh, and Shakespeare was presenting a drama, because in those days, socially, women were not allowed to be actors, so they were filling in the blanks. They weren't going for transvestitism. So his really weak arguments, and again, really degenerates to personal attacks. One thing, though, when he said, "Where's the damage?" and you whipped out the statistics on the suicide in the UK, he got really silent really fast, and he had to come back with that standard left-wing comeback about, well, if they're really committing suicide, it must be because you're not affirming them stuff, which he couldn't quite hold on to very well.
So he couldn't because, like I mentioned, and that's what stopped him on that. The UK has provided special legal protections for transgenders and transvestites since 2004. These people have not been discriminated against in a decade. And he didn't really have a comeback to that. He didn't have an answer to that.
He didn't. I think overall you handled yourself very well in trying to stick to the issues. The best thing, it would just maybe one improvement is when he talked to just say, look, you keep talking about the boots, which I think you already did, but the point is it's not even so much Macy's so much as the Broadway show Kinky Boots, and thinking that that's a Macy's Day parade that for family is a venue for that.
Mm-hmm. All right, Paul, well, listen, I appreciate the call. Thank you for that. And in the next segment, and Jeff, let's grab that audio, Scott Sloan went on to talk about an email that he'd received from a listener, and the listener apparently who sent the email in was agreeing with me. Let's listen.
Well, let me read the email here. It's from Charlie, explaining to me the difference between Milton Berle, or I guess maybe Jonathan Winters, or anyone who is dressed in drag. It's pretty commonplace place theatrically, right? Is the difference between Milton Berle and Macy's is that Milton Berle is a comedian not trying to push the lesbian gay lifestyle down everyone's throats and in people's faces. It's a Christmas holiday parade, not a gay day parade. Trust me, Scott, a lot of us find that lifestyle extremely offensive and a very sick thing. The more I listen to you, Scott, the more left-leaning you become. I used to enjoy WLW program, but man, sometimes I wonder what your angles and things are. I'll make it very clear, if you're part of the group that find this very thick and offensive to you, I'll make it very clear what my angle on things are, and it's this. Unless it harms me and my family, I really don't give a what you do with your life.
You think about that for a second. I mean, I'm sure Scott's a nice guy, but he obviously fancies himself as the paragon of compassion and love and all these wonderful characteristics. And here you've got 84% of a demographic group that are thinking about killing themselves, and he is saying, I don't care. I don't give a blank about these people. As long as it doesn't hurt me, they want to put a gun in their mouth and blow the back of their heads off, fine by me. Knock yourself out. I just find that absolutely heartless and cruel, frankly, and for him to sort of try to turn that into some kind of a virtue, I think is just frankly shameful. All right, let's go to Samantha, Victoria, Texas. Samantha, welcome. What's on your mind? Samantha, are you with me?
Yes.
Yes, go right ahead.
Oh, okay. Hi there.
Hi.
I was going to say, first of all, he was very rude and didn't let you complete a thought at all and couldn't really prove a point. But beyond that, I have children of my own, and I would just like to say that if I brought them to a G-rated movie, I wouldn't expect to see, sex and hear cuss words and violence and have to explain that to my child. I would like them to be fully developed to, able to.
Yeah, it's like when you go to a production, like a movie, and it's rated G, then there are certain expectations that you have. Your children are not going to be exposed to something that's awkward and corrupt and immoral. I mean, that's your expectation. And if Disney throws that in there, then you got a problem with Disney. Well, it's the same thing with Macy's. This is supposed to be the family-friendliest event of the Thanksgiving weekend, and they're throwing this immorality right in your face. So, yeah, I completely understand. And, Samantha, like you going to a Disney movie, people watch Macy's parade on Thanksgiving. They expect it to be family-friendly. They don't expect a transvestitism agenda to be shoved down their throats. All right, Samantha, thank you. Last call of the segment. Let's go to Dennis in Jackson, Mississippi. Dennis, welcome. What's on your mind?
Hi, Brian.
Hey.
I think it was totally inappropriate. I mean, they knew what they were doing. They knew they were going to be promoting this type of lifestyle, sticking it in the parade. I mean, what else did you see inappropriate in the parade? They just stuck it right there in the middle of it. And I don't think Sloan had much of a foothold to stand on. I mean, had two concepts. That was the actors and the boots. And as far as the actors, I like what the guy said earlier. That was my first thing that came to mind. Most of the people in Shakespeare's day, when they dressed up as women, that was the only person that was there. They were men that were actors, and they had to play both parts.
Mm-hmm, that's right. Yeah, because females were not allowed to act on the stage in Shakespeare's day. So if you're going to have female parts, it's going to have to be played by a guy. All right. Well, listen, Dennis, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for that. And thank you for all your calls in response to that interview. One more segment to go. Got a couple of more sound bites I want to play for you, a little more content. We're going to talk a little bit about Obamacare in the last segment. Glad to have you on board. 888-589-8840. 888-589-8840. Give us a call. You're listening to Focal Point on AFR Talk as the White Horse Brigade continues to charge forward. Back in 2.